so don't say anything weird.
Making coffee. Mr. Coffee. Who is Mr. Coffee?
Mr. Coffee.
I gave you that.
Coffee maker.
What? I gave you that trivia question earlier. Who was the famous Mr. Coffee?
I don't know. Who?
Joe DiMaggio.
Oh, God.
Remember I told you?
Yeah, we're already live, by the way, so the show's already on.
That's
right
part
now.
of the show.
Part of the show.
This is it. Trivia.
All right.
Random trivia.
You got your coffee?
I got it. I got my Junie cup.
Nice.
Did you hear that sip?
All right. Sit wherever you want. I'll sit on this side if you want to sit on that side. Okay. All right. You want to start it off, Dad?
Not really. I'm just visiting. Like, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I'm just visiting.
All right. Let's set this bad boy up. First podcast, guys.
Ain't she pretty?
All right. Let's hope and pray that stays on like that.
Can you get back there?
All right. The first ever inaugural Faithful podcast. I hope these microphones are working. Mine's on green. Is yours on green? Yep, yours on green. So, first ever Faithful podcast. And I just want to say one thing as an introduction to the first podcast. If you were to ask me, maybe let's say 10 years ago, if I were to have a podcast, which people probably 10 years ago didn't even know what a podcast was, but if you were to ask me, if you were to have a podcast and you were to have your first guest on, who would you choose out of anyone in the world? And my number one answer would be my dad. And this is...
it's really Jesus, but, he wasn't available tonight.
Yeah, other than Jesus. But I just, this is my dad, Edmund. He's been working with me for the past month. How's your stay been? Tell the audience about your stay.
Well, it's a two-pronged stay. One is hard work, learning his trade, literally, with an intent of helping him with marketing. But to do that, you have to know the business that you're marketing. At least that's the way I feel and the way he felt. Mm-hmm. So he brought me up here and he says, we're going to teach you everything about the job, but we want you to help us, take it to the next level. So he's ready to do that. And, the social media forces, powers to be, are ready to just, grab his business and, catapult it forward. So this is good. The second prong was being with family, spending all the time with the grandkids. Mm-hmm. That was priceless. Priceless. Through learning experiences from the 3-year-old to, playing chess and Monopoly and all the pictures and the bowling and just the dinners and just a wonderful time.
Nice. Yeah, so when it comes to the business side of things, so my dad is and I tell him this, is very, very good at customer relationship and marketing and sales. And he's just very gifted in being able to communicate with people and talk to anyone and build relationships. So part of the reason why I had him...
I will talk to anyone. That's true.
He will talk to, and he's fearless too. And the cool thing about that is in anything in life, especially, we talk about our families, we talk about business, we talk about the church, we talk about sports teams, we talk about any area of life, you're going to have roles. And people fit those roles with certain gifts differently. So for instance, me being the owner, I had to do everything in the beginning, and I still to a degree do everything, but I have an employee, and I was explaining to my employee today, I need you to be very good at cleaning. You are a cleaner, but you need to be able to do the other things at least relatively well and be well balanced. Well, my dad, I wanted him to know the cleaning game, but I don't want him to be a cleaner. I want him to be someone who can go out and build a customer list.
But I did get 13,000 hits in 2 days on my YouTube old man cleaning the rug.
Yeah, the short video.
Short video. But it was all about me.
Well, but my point is this: is we all have a role in business. We're talking about business right now. We all have a role, and my dad fits a specific role that I envisioned for him and that he communicated he wanted to help me with. And so I feel like when you put those pieces in the right place at the right time, things can definitely go in a good direction, you know. And I feel like that with my business right now. Even though I'm 5 years in, it's been a slow process to get to the point that I'm at. But at the same time, building the team and putting people in the right place at the right time is really, it could really take it off at any moment. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And your month to month, year to year, you know, growth has been, you know, shown on the chart. You're in the right direction.
So my goal in seeing that trajectory going upward over a amount of time is beating the previous year's month. So for instance, in January, my goal was to beat 2024's January. In 2025's February was to beat 2025's February or 2024's February. So my goal in March of this year was to beat 2024 March, which we did. Thankful to God, but thankful to my dad for helping me out. Thankful to all the people that has, you know, the team.
Yeah, Caleb and Ramsey's a shout out. You know.
Yeah, Caleb and Ramsey shout out. Just everyone.
Even
Miro shout out. And everybody. Koi shout out.
So see, these people I didn't know before a month ago, but I hear them in his conversations, and these are
DJ shout out.
Yeah, these are people who are literally, some of them are competitors, but they're not competitors in a gouging kind of way. Right. They're competitors who work with each other to make each other better. It's a really unique and a very nice thing to see, to witness, from my perspective. He can give you more detail.
Yeah, well, you have two cleaners. What I've noticed in this industry, you have the people who want you to fail, and you have the people that want you to succeed. And a lot of the guys that have become friends of mine in the industry locally and even nationally, because, you know, there's forums, there's Facebook groups, there's a lot of YouTube carpet cleaners, but specifically in my local area have been people who want to encourage you to do better and to be better. And one, because we all help each other out is a big reason. Like if someone's van were to break down, I would help them. If I were to break down, they were to help me. But it's also for the quality of the cleaning industry in your local area. And you don't want that to be watered down. So the more strong that you can make other companies and other people in the industry, the more of a higher bar that is set for the industry standards within your area. And everybody can benefit from that. We can all make money. And especially in an area like this in Meridian, Idaho, and Boise, Idaho, and Nampa, Idaho, where it's a very thriving, growing community, there's not a lack of opportunity to make money and to provide a service. So we're really not, even though it's competition in a sense, it's a healthy competition. It's a competition like somewhat of like a teammate. You know, if like, let's say I'm playing baseball and my teammate has 10 home runs, I want to hit 11 home runs, you know, but we're working for the same goal. On the flip side, you have guys that want you to completely fail, you know, guys that will, you know, probably not say hi to you on the street when you pass them, to the point where maybe even they do bad things to your van or to you, you know. Unfortunately, I know that happens. That hasn't really happened to me too much, but, you know, you just try to do the right thing and treat other people the way that you want to be treated. And at the end of the day, knowing that carpet cleaning isn't the end result of my life. Carpet cleaning isn't the end goal. It is something that I've been placed in a position of my work field, but it's not, carpet cleaning doesn't define me. I bring my identity and my definition of who I am into carpet cleaning rather than pulling who I am and my identity out of carpet cleaning.
Right. And it shows because you're not like a workaholic, for the money or for the just escape of some people. They get into their work so consumed. You have a healthy balance with family and work, and that goes into a third dimension, which is also spirituality. So it's interesting that the faithful carpet cleaning kind of ties that together in terms of what you're trying to represent.
Right.
If you can.
Yeah. So when you think of faithful, you think of trustworthy, loyal, someone who's going to not do you wrong, right? Well, although I want to be faithful and I want to be those things, the reality is I'm not going to perfectly be those things. So when, on the back of my van, there's a verse, it says, even when we are faithless, God remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. And basically, my goal is pointing to God's faithfulness in all things. So like, I'm going to fail. I'm going to do things wrong. I'm not going to, be the best person at all times. But at the end of the day, God is faithful to provide for me customers that I can provide service to, and then also provide for my family.
Right.
And in a way, I'm pointing people to God's faithfulness, and not to my little faithfulness, but to God's perfect faithfulness.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a take on the cord of three strands is not easily broken. You have a family strand, you have a business strand, and it's tied together with a spiritual strand.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it pretty strong and enduring. So we're looking for growth, because this is the place that God has for you, and God wants the best for you and your family. And so you're taking this opportunity to kind of like prove to yourself that God is faithful.
Yeah.
It's not about you being faithful. It's not about you, working 80 hours a week to make enough money, but that God will provide.
Yeah. Well, and it goes into priority in your life. God says, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And specifically in that chapter, he's talking about provision. He's talking about provision for your normal necessities of life. So in a way, if you have the trust and faith in God that he will fulfill his promise, then you have a total full reign to just totally trust in Christ and trust in God's plan for your life first and foremost. And sometimes that means sacrificing jobs, or that means sacrificing certain things in order to put God's kingdom first. And I'm not saying I do that perfectly, but my desire is to do that perfectly. And when I fail, I confess my sin and I ask God for forgiveness. And the Bible says when we sin, we confess our sins, and God is faithful to not only forgive us of our sins, but to cleanse us from all of our unrighteousness. And those are a few verses that really kind of like bring me back to reality when I tend to veer off in the land of money and the land of fame and the land of success, especially when you're dealing in an industry that has a lot of people that don't believe in God and that don't want to live for Christ, because it is about the money, it is about the cars, and it is about the houses, and it is about the fame of making my friends on Facebook or YouTube see how great my life is. So when those things kind of drowned out the truth of God's word, that's when you have to recalibrate and remind yourself of the simple truths of God's word, so it brings you back to reality, so you can continue to walk in the truth and in the light.
All right.
You
So
know?
we started off the first segment of this podcast in a direction we didn't know it was going to go, which is exactly why we started this broadcast.
Yeah.
This broadcast is not, scheduled. There's no agenda. And I just think it's a good time to maybe segue into what is the process of your faithful carpet cleaning, job. I actually have seen other people do the job with other companies that you sent me to kind of learn the trade, which is nice. And I've seen the process, and I've seen other people's process. So why don't you go into what the process is from the beginning of meeting a customer and take us through the window so we can see what you do, why you do it, and what the end result is.
So there's a couple different things, and just to set the record straight, I don't know everything about carpet cleaning. I'm not the best carpet cleaner in the world, and there's still a lot for me to learn and to grow, right? But I'm going to share with you the things that I have learned that have got me to this point. Okay, so there's two types of soils in a carpet. There's dry soils and liquid soils, or water soluble soils. So when you're the carpet cleaning machines that we have that are hot water extraction, you have pressure, water pressure, you have temperature, which is the heat of the water, and then you have suction, which is the vacuum that takes that stuff out. Well, these machines and the chemical processes that we use primarily are used for water soluble soils. So we're talking about oils, grease, and certain things that are in the carpet, maybe even stains, urine, soda, a lot like food type stuff that when you get it wet with a certain chemical, it turns into a liquid form. That's primarily what these machines are meant to do. They're meant to suck out the water soluble soils. So the dry soils, such as hair and dirt and dust and stuff like that, that doesn't necessarily liquefy. You have to vacuum those out. You have to do a pre-vacuum, and a lot of times hey Dad, when you're done, can you shut that door?
Yeah.
So we don't make it too noisy. So when you go into a house, pre-vacuum is very important. And sometimes the customer pre-vacuums for you. Sometimes it's built into the price. Sometimes maybe it's not built into the price, and you're upfront with the customer telling them that we don't vacuum, and so make sure you vacuum, and then we're going to do our pre-spray and extract with the machine and stuff like that, which is fine. But when you're talking about the full process of a carpet cleaning job, you're talking about pre-inspection, typically with a black light and walking through with the customer. Pre-vacuum, you're talking about pre-spray, spotting if necessary. CRB agitation is the agitation that we use with a counter-rotating brush machine, but some people use a carpet rake. Some people use different forms of agitation. Some people use a floor machine like a buffer with a pad. So there's different ways to agitate the carpet, and that's a very crucial step because you're basically scrubbing the chemical into the carpet to loosen up all those things. So then the last step, when you come to the hot water extraction and you put that super hot water down on the carpet and you're rinsing it out, the important thing is that I had to learn over time was you really have to rinse out the carpets thoroughly, or else you're not going to get the carpets as clean as it could be. So some carpet cleaners will go in and they'll do a quick pass and they'll say, hey, I cleaned the carpet, but it still will smell or it still will look not that clean. So that's why if you watch some of my videos and stuff like that, I really go slowly and I do multiple passes. And I really focus on extracting not only the dirt and the oils and all the stuff that is in the carpet, but you're also extracting the chemical that you put down. So you're extracting the pre-spray, you're extracting the spotter, you're extracting all these things. So when we use citrus oil for, let's say, a paint spot, we really have to rinse that out. When we use a peroxide-based urine spot treatment, we really have to rinse that out because we don't want even the chemical to be left in the carpet. And then the acid rinse that we use in the chemical jug is kind of like a conditioner that makes the carpet soft. and really fluffy and really have a good smell after we're done.
Like you said, it balances out the pH.
And it does balance out the pH on the carpet, so it neutralizes the carpet. And what I was actually telling a customer the other day was, sometimes we clean the carpet so good that they don't call us back for like 2 years, you know. And when the previous companies that they talked to us, they're calling them every 6 months.
And not only that, but we went to a customer recently and they said 2 different carpet cleaners had gone in there, like he said, at an interval that was shorter than 2 years. And one of the comments they made is they were in and out in an hour. I haven't seen Eddie do a 2-bedroom apartment in less than an hour. You know, he spends his time doing all the process. And like he said, you know, doubling up on those areas that have, you know, pet stains or need that extra suction to get down deep and pull everything from the bottom layer.
And then telling the customer and setting the expectations kind of low, and then seeing their reaction when we're done, that they're really happy and pleased with our work, because we don't want to tell them that your carpet's going to be perfectly brand new after we're done. We set the expectation like, hey, we're going to do this process. What we can guarantee is we're going to do the best we can.
Right.
And we're going to allow the results to speak for itself. And I think when it comes into your experience as a business owner, as a carpet cleaner, when I do the inspection walkthrough, I can really tell what is going to come out and what's not going to come out. So as I'm walking with these customers, I can be like, oh yeah, that 95% sure that spot's coming out. But these traffic patterns, I think we can get it a lot better, but it's probably not going to fully come out because there's some wear issues here.
Recently, you had the sad situation. Looks like the wife had cracked her head open or something. Yeah. Somebody had cracked their head open on the rug, and there was previous blood that tried to be, you know, lifted up, and also maybe some other liquids that spilled in that same area.
Years of stuff.
And so not, you know, just because you watch a video and see that the carpet ends up beautiful, you know, white all the way through, it's not the reality.
Well, it's not the reality in some jobs. Mm-hmm. So the interesting thing about that carpet was that it was very old carpet. It was very light colored carpet, and there was stains throughout the carpet. The one major stain didn't fully come out, and we were kind of not expecting it to, but at the same time, like, I knew that carpet would clean up nice, and the rest of the carpet cleaned up really nice. Yeah. But it's just that one spot. But the guy he had no expectation for that spot. He said he was going to cover it with a runner, and he even said it's only going to last 6 months because he's going to replace carpet anyways. But I think like he was very impressed with the final outcome of how well that carpet looked, considering the damage that it had.
Right. And I even think that because literally, you know, 99% of the carpet is white, it's like, you know, white as a lamb, okay? And it has this one spot about, you know, 12 by 12, and they put a little rug over it right next to the couch and put a little ottoman there or something like that. That carpet will last another year. He might change his estimation from 6 months to a year. The rest of the carpet in the whole house looks beautiful.
I think he's probably going to keep the carpet for a while, you know, just considering how well it came out. But anyways, yeah, so that's kind of the process when it comes to like when I go into a job. I think, you know, it's one of those things where you want to differentiate yourself from your competition, but at the same time, carpet cleaning is not that difficult in the sense of you don't have to overthink carpet cleaning. I mean, you know, I don't carry that many chemicals on my truck. Mm-hmm. We fill up the pre-spray jug. We use OS1 for like urine and organic stains. And then if whatever doesn't come out with those two products, our final ditch effort is citrus oil, which gets out most of the colors and the waxes and the gum and the ink and stuff like that. If those three products don't get out what we need to get out, then it's just not coming out. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit there necessarily and have a bunch of stuff on my truck for every specific individual spot, because 98%, 99% of the spots and stains that we come across, we get out. So don't overthink it. Especially if you're new in the industry. I've spent thousands of dollars on testing different chemicals, and everyone you talk to says, you need something for red, you need something for organics, you need something for urine, you need something for deodorizing, you need something for, nail polish, you need something for this and that. And next thing you know, you're spending thousands of dollars on all these products, when sometimes even just mixing like an enzyme with a little oxy boost in your pre-spray, or like some citrus boost in your pre-spray, will take care of 95% of the stains. So my advice to the new cleaners that might be watching this is figure out what works for you and figure out what your clients typically need. And then just have maybe like 3 to 5 products on your truck at any time. And, as long as you're doing the pre-vacuum, you're doing the pre-spray, spotting and agitation, once you hit the extraction, the carpet's basically already been through a transformation before you even turn on the machine. Can you speak on that a little bit, or how when we do the whole process before we even turn on the truck mount?
That's what we had. We had a comment on YouTube today, and the comment was the old man, which was me. The old man, it was given a white carpet to begin with, and he really didn't do too much. Granted, he's right. I didn't do too much, because my son did 99% of that house, which was 900 plus square feet of carpet, all white, and had pet stains and had smell. They were good people, but the carpet, had issues. And the first thing Eddie did was pull out the black light. We call it a black light. Mm-hmm. Pull out the black light, and the customer was so impressed with the black light that the customer said, "Let me hold that thing as we walk." I
gave it to him. I said, "Go do whatever you want with it."
And almost every baseboard in his house had trickles of what
some sort of urine.
Looked to be urine, or could have been some other, organic material that showed up on the black light. So it wasn't just on the baseboards, but it was all the way to the edge, all the way around the house. So, his process right away was, we're going to hit this whole house with some extra pet treatment. We're not going to just do 1 or 2 stains. We're gonna even it up and make sure everything gets covered, and also emphasize the stains that we saw. Eddie has the ability of remembering where the stains were, as he's doing the entire process. So I've seen him do that. Go back to the stain, even though I can't see it. He knows it's there, and he knows to go deeper and longer. And when you get to, because he put the right treatment on at the right time, by the time you get to the CRB, it's done. So it's almost like a washing machine. The washing machine hasn't done the final rinse yet. And the extraction is like the final rinse. But the washing machine has already taken out all the soils out of the material. It's floating around in the tank. It's floating around in the water. So in this situation, the dirt, the debris, the urine, okay, had already been lifted and been chemically altered by the materials that he put in. And was swished around by the CRB machine so that it actually looked clean. But it wasn't clean yet, because if you left it like that, you're going to get the smell, you're going to get some darkness, you're going to get some spotting. So that's, the extraction phase was, the final.
Well, here's the thing too, is like, this is something that I had to learn, is valuing your service that you can provide. And what I like, I'm not a pushy salesman. I'm an educator, right? And I know, and there's different ways that people sell, and there's a lot better salesmen than I am that make a lot more money than I do. So I'm not saying I know everything about it, but what I want to do is educate the customer.
Well, that's also your purpose for
Right.
for this video series that you're starting. It's educational. This is not one of those like do it my way and you'll make millions of dollars. You know, get a franchise going. You know, start hiring all these people. You know, turn $150 door knock into 500 plus every time by saying the right thing and doing the right thing. That's not how he's operating.
Yeah. So, knocking on the door when you get there and introducing yourself and having your black light in your hand and having, a laser measure to measure the square feet and stuff like that, and pulling out that black light. One of the things I tell the customer, especially if we start seeing a lot of urine, because they're kind of shocked, because a lot of these spots you can't see with the naked eye. So they're kind of shocked, like, I didn't realize how bad my carpet was.
It's not only shocked, but you can tell sometimes they're embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing.
And he doesn't put that shame on them at all. It's just, it is what it is.
Because this is my job, and I'm the pro, and I've been through a lot of bad situations when it comes to pee and poop and blood and stuff like that. So, and vomit. So there's not really much that I haven't seen yet, that when I go into a place, and I have kids, I have 4 kids that have peed on the carpet, that have puked on the carpet, that have bled on the carpet. So, I have a lot of what they call empathy for people when I walk into their house, and I try to make them as comfortable as possible. But one of the reasons why I show them that, and I even give them the black light, I said, go to town with whatever you want to find in your own house. And I tell them, this is the best way for me to serve you, is by identifying what the problems are. So I'm not trying to be a salesman in the sense of like every single spot I'm charging $20 here, $20 here, $20 here, $20 here, $20 here. And the more P I see, the more money I see. It's not that way for me. For me, it's how can I go into someone's house and fix their problem? Because that's what we do as business people. We're fixing their problem. So my dad, when he goes out and he sells a mattress and he's asking the people, what comfort do you like? How tall is your bed? How old are you? How do you like to sleep? All these things. He's trying to gather so much information so he can give a recommendation of what is the best mattress for them. And that's what we're doing as carpet cleaners when we go into a situation. We're trying to understand what their problem is. So when I walk through with a customer, I'm really trying to ask them,
what's your problem?
Yeah, let me know if there are any problem areas, let me know so I can know. Because for instance, if we didn't blacklight or if we didn't treat those urine spots and we tried to clean it with just a basic cleaner, it's not going to take the urine out, and it's probably going to smell worse when we leave.
Sure.
And how in the world are we providing us a good service to them if we left the carpet worse than when we got it? So I try to just educate the customers like that. Like, hey, it is going to cost more. It's more process. It's more chemical, but
it's more time.
It's more time. And a lot of times I tell them, you know what? We love our pets and pets are great, but at the same time, they cost us. They cost us a little bit on the flooring and on the pet hospital bills and on the food and on all these things that we pay for the pets. And this is just one of the costs of having a pet. And a lot of those people understand that. So, at the end of the day, like with this particular guy, we literally went through the whole house. And I even called the customer up to the carpet when I was spraying it with the urine treatment.
You called him on the carpet?
No, I called him upstairs. And I showed him that when we were spraying these urine spots, they were disappearing. And I told him, it's disappearing to our eyes right now, but I still have to take it out. But I just wanted to show you that the product that we're charging you for is actually working. Because how many times do we go to a place and people charge us and we feel as customers that we're not getting the service from what we paid for.
For somebody out there who might be a pet owner and not affiliated with carpet cleaning and just looking to see if we're handling your pet situation correctly here, when you say when you sprayed it and did you say disappeared? What word did you use? Is that saying that it neutralized it right away chemically? What's happening when it disappears?
I wish I can tell you. Okay. I wish I can tell you.
Because the black light no longer shows a glow, right?
So there are times that the black light will still show a glow.
Okay.
So what I found, and there are hundreds of pet products out there that carpet cleaners are being sold that have enzymes, deodorizers, oxy, peroxide, powders, liquids, steam.
What about the dry treatment that they talk about?
Yeah, there's low moisture and cap cleaning and all these things. For me, the best results that I have found on pet stains and pet urine removal and deodorizing and neutralizing has been peroxide-based spotters that you have to hot water extract out.
Can you tell us what the peroxide-based spotter is that you use?
Oh, it's called OS1. So it's from Pro's Choice. It's OS1, but there are a lot of good ones like Unchained, Rob Allen's Unchained. That's a TMF product. There's I think it's called Mad Dog from Clean Pro Supply, I think it's called. There's a lot of different peroxide-based urine treatments out there, and they pretty much all do the same thing. Unchained the smell is incredible. One of the things I don't like about OS1 is it doesn't smell great, but at the same time, we're rinsing it out so you don't even smell it when we're gone. It's basically there to neutralize the smell. It's not necessarily there to replace the smell.
When you talk about smells, you don't necessarily go in to a job with the intention of leaving the house smelling April fresh. Some people do. Some people finalize it with like a scent, a deodorant.
Right.
You from my experience with you, you do the job, you pull everything out of the carpet, and it's almost like just a fresh, clean scent.
Yeah.
It's not extreme in one thing or another.
Well, so there's post-spray deodorizers that you can use, but a lot of the post-spray deodorizers are basically just a scent that will go away in 24 hours.
Okay.
So for me personally, I want to smell what the carpet smells like on its own without having to use any perfume over it. You know what I'm saying? So there are a few instances that I do use a post-spray deodorizer though. For instance, we just did a house a couple days ago that had a lot of urine in the living room. And when I'm rinsing it out in my wand, I can see what kind of color is coming out.
So there's actually a window.
Yeah, there's a sight glass on the wand, and you can see if like brown or yellow or black or white water is coming through the wand.
And Eddie he probably was going to tell you this anyways, but I just want to kind of interject there. He is actually looking through that window at the bottom of the wand a lot during his extraction phase. He's looking for detergents that are coming up. He's looking for foam. He's looking for discolorization. Yeah. He's looking to see if after a few passes, if it's getting clearer. Yeah. Can you just describe some of the intention of having that window?
So the acid rinse that we use kind of has a white tint to it when it comes out of the wand. So when you're seeing all the suction of the water from the jets that are putting the water down onto the carpet, when you see that coming into the wand and into this little window.
And the water is approximately 200 degrees?
My machine gets to about 230.
Okay.
So at the wand, it's about 200. Okay. So basically, when I'm looking at this wand, it basically should always look the same.
Okay.
Ideally. But when you go over a spot that has pee, or when you go over a spot that has a lot of dirt, or when you go over a spot that has a lot of oil, or where you go over a spot that has a lot of detergent in it, whether it be over the counter sprays, or whether it be soap, or some people put Dawn, on their carpet, you see like a white foam coming out. And that's when you either sprinkle some defoamer on there, or you just keep rinsing it out until you don't see any foam, or you don't see any pee, or you don't see any dirt, so you just keep going over that spot. There are times where I literally have gone over the same spot like 20 times and there's still dirt coming out. And that's where...
Or still detergent coming out.
But that's where you have to really know before the job and set the expectation, because there was a job that I did that was an office, and the office was surrounded by a dirt parking lot. And every single day in this office, they would walk in from the dirt parking lot and they would walk into this carpet. And it never been cleaned. It looked like it never been cleaned. So basically, when I was cleaning it, after I got done, and I cleaned it, 15 times in the same spot over and over and over and over and over again. It didn't look perfectly clean afterwards. And I had to tell the customer, I said, it's going to take about 5 times for me to clean it the way I did right now, for it to get back to normal. Because if you've neglected your carpet for years, I cannot necessarily fix 10, 15, 20 years of dirt in one cleaning.
It reminds me of those videos you see on YouTube and other social medias where they take an area rug. Have you seen those? And they just douse it with huge amounts of detergent and a whether it's an extractor or whether it's a circular
it's a scrubber.
Sometimes they're using different methods, but they're doing it in fast mode, and they're doing it like 20 times.
Yeah.
So that's what he's describing. To get that much dirt out, you really got to go a long process.
Which is why maintenance cleaning is very important to tell your customers, because for one, they want to have clean carpet. In order to have clean carpet, we have to regularly clean your carpet. Mm-hmm. But also, a lot of these, and going into another path of like business, is a lot of these new carpets have warranties on them. And these warranties, in order for the warranties to maintain its effect, you need to provide a carpet cleaning for 12 to 18 months. Wow. In every 12 to 18 months, you need carpet to be cleaned in order to maintain the warranty.
Do you know how long their warranties are? I mean, it's like a 5-year warranty?
I don't know. But I do know that, they need to get their carpets clean. Okay. And one of the things I will say, and I was talking to Ramses about this today, is when you identify the particular clientele that you want to work for instance, if you work for, I would rather work for someone who calls me every single year and who pays me well and who refers me to their friends and keeps their carpet relatively clean, rather than if you were to work for someone who tries to negotiate price or even lowball you on price. They don't appreciate your service. Their carpets are super filthy, and they refer you to all the people that are exactly like them. That's not necessarily a good client. But I say that I have compassion and I have grace for a lot of people that are in a situation that I can help. And I'm not saying that I don't take the opportunity to help people or even do a free carpet cleaning every once in a while or a very good discount. What I'm saying is the bulk of my business, when I'm thinking about what customers that I want to work for, you really have to identify those customers and be willing to let go of the customers that are outside of that scope. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think, it makes total sense. What you're saying is it might not come across exactly the way the intention is, but a good customer will value what you've done for them, see that, and let other people know that no matter what their price is, they're going to get equivalent value. So if, like we talked about this morning, if you undervalue or undercut yourself, then you're shooting yourself in the foot, which means your business is not only not going to grow, but has the potential to die.
Right.
So you don't want to go there. You want that customer that values you, appreciates you just as you appreciate them and value them.
Yeah.
It's a symbiotic relationship. So,
and I just want to say, switching gears a little bit, okay? There's a lot of guys similar to me who are owner-operator business owners, okay? So they own a small carpet cleaning business, whether it be carpet cleaning, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, whatever the case may be, air duct cleaning, dry vent cleaning, anything. And one of the problems that they have is not necessarily making enough money, but one of the problems they have is finding good help and finding people that they can trust, finding people that want to grow with them. But a lot of these guys have trouble finding people. And I'm not saying I know everything about hiring and I know everything about building a team, this and that, but I will say this. You have to make your business more about the service.
Tell them.
Well, I'm telling you and them, but you have to make your business more about the service. And what I mean by that is when they're working and they have a purpose and they can sense the passion of the owner with the way that he treats the employee, or the way that he is respectful, or the way that he is trustworthy, or the way that he has integrity. They see that it's more about the service. For me, it's more about the carpet cleaning. And I tell the guys that work for me, and there's been a few guys that work for me, and I identify them as men of character, usually younger men that I can kind of disciple and help in their stages of life. I'm married for 9 years and I have 4 kids. So I've been through a lot, and I can maybe help these guys in their younger years. But one of the things that I tell them is that you have to have more passion for your life and for your purpose, and not necessarily see. And that's the thing is, even though I'm a Christian, I don't necessarily force other people to be Christian that work with me. It's more of, I want people to see my character as being a Christian business owner and be willing to take a little bit of what I say and what I do and apply it to their own lives. Because I tell them, at the end of the day, I want to be a part of your story. I don't necessarily want you to make a bunch of money or necessarily, stay with me for 20 years or 30 years and get mad if you ever start your own carpet cleaning business. What I desire is for these young men to look back and to say, when they're 30, when they're 40, when they're 50, that when I worked for Eddie at Faithful Carpet Cleaning, I learned a lot about life. And that's my drive for them, is that I want to be a part of their story. It's kind of like if you were at church and, people share their testimonies. People share how they came to Christ and how they got saved and how they believed the gospel and how they understood the things of God and how they got excited to read the Bible and go to church and all these things. And usually what they'll say is, there was a person who shared Jesus with me. There was a person who asked me a tough question about are you going to heaven or are you going to hell when you die? There was a person in their life who asked them to go to church. There was a person who challenged them to live a different life. And those people, when they stand up in front of a congregation and they tell their story and they say, I remember when I was 19, John took me under his wing and he helped me. I want to be part of these guys' stories. I want to be someone who they can say, when I was 20, 21, 22, Eddie helped me get a job And Eddie taught me a lot about life, about money, about family, about God. That's what I want as my purpose in my business.
Excellent.
But yeah. Do you have anything?
Well,
I get a little preachy sometimes.
No, it was good. It was good. It's always good to kind of overlay. It's all about layers. It's not linear. So going back, I just want you to kind of give whoever out there that might be still watching up to this point, what do you do for your pregame show, and what do you do for your postgame show? Before you leave for work, what do you set up? And then after you come home, what's your teardown process?
So you prepare for the next day when you get home from the previous day. So for instance, like this van right here is already, the waste tank is dumped, the water tank is filled, the chemicals are replaced, the gas is full,
the decals are put on by Bryant Ideas,
Al Franklin. So basically the prep starts the day before. The worst thing is when you feel like you're not prepped and you have to be at a job at 9 a.m. and it's 8:42 and you're trying to fill up your water tank, you're trying to dump your waste tank, you're trying to fill up your gas, you're trying to do all these
things. Clean out
the filters, and you have to text the customer, hey, I'm running 20 minutes late, I'm running 30 minutes late. So really the day starts the day before. So like right now we're basically ready for tomorrow. The only thing that we do morning of for work wise is basically fill up the chemicals, because those are time sensitive. So we fill up the pre-spray, and it takes about 5 minutes. We fill up the pre-spray and then load it into the truck, and then we're ready to go. So does that answer your question?
It answers the question. And then let's segue from there into this truck here. Is your newer truck. So he has another truck right behind us, which has the same labels. He likes the Chevy. It works good for him. What is inside? What truck mount system works for you?
So there's two different types of truck mounts. There's a slide-in truck mount and a direct drive truck mount. So this one in this van is a slide-in truck mount. It's a Hydromaster Max 470. So this is a very powerful unit. It has, I think, a 31.5 horsepower 3-cylinder motor that drives a 47 blower vacuum power, which is really a commercial, sized machine. It's built for commercial and residential, but it can do really good commercial stuff. There's a lot smaller truck mount machines that are primarily just used for residential cleaning, which are totally good. And a lot of the things that we said, like a lot of the cleaning takes place before you even turn this machine on. But the more powerful the machine, the easier the job, and the quicker the job could be. So, but this thing gets the water to 230 degrees, super good suction. PSI, we run it about 400 to 500 PSI, depending on the soil level. It has the ability to do, tile and grout, but it also can do upholstery. I usually run upholstery at 200 PSI. So yeah, it's a good, me and you drove to California. Do you remember that?
Is it Redding?
Redding, California. We bought this machine for $5,000. It had 1,600 hours on it, which is pretty low for the age of this machine.
Now it's got like 3,000.
Now it has 2,300.
Oh,
almost 24.
Okay.
Almost 2,400. Okay,
yeah.
24. So we put about 700 to 800 hours on it so far. But then slide in. The other machine is a direct drive, meaning that the engine of the van has a drive shaft connected to the components of a carpet cleaning machine. And it basically, the engine of the van turns the carpet cleaning machine.
Wow.
So personally, if you were to tell me, hey, Eddie, you have $50,000, you can get a brand new machine, you can get a nice van, what would you do? I would probably get a direct drive, a new direct drive, probably a Hydromaster 4.8 direct drive system.
Okay. And then how long are your hoses?
So
how far can you go in an apartment complex?
So this hose reel holds about 250 feet, and that hose reel holds about 200.
Okay.
So a standard job, let's say a 2-story house in Meridian, Idaho, we would basically only use the first 125 feet, of length. Mm-hmm. So very, very rarely are we having to use 200 or 250 feet.
And what's the largest job you ever did?
There's been times where I've maxed out my I would say 250.
Okay. In terms of scope of work, what's the largest job you've ever done?
Well, we did a church for a restoration company, and it was 4 or 5 days. So we did 500 chairs on one day. We did 500 chairs on another day. We did.
Why'd you do the chairs?
Oh, it was a fire damage.
Okay.
And they needed to get all the things clean. But so we had 2 days of upholstery, 500 and 500. I think it was 1,000 chairs total, I think. And then we had the third day was the top level of the church. And then the fourth day was the bottom level of the church. Mm-hmm. So basically we had 4 full days, and it was $10,000. Wow. $10,000 job.
Okay. So what was the worst job you ever went out on?
The worst job?
You ever went out and you walked away from there and you were just like...
I actually just told so for some reason, my girls like when I tell them work stories. I don't know why.
Those girls are 10 and 7.
They're going to bed and they're like, Dad, can you tell us a work story? So I'm like, okay, like once upon a time, I think Miro was out of town one time, and he sent me a job for an Airbnb client. And this client had a family living in their property for a month. And it was a refugee family. Wow. And they had about 15 people living in that house. And it was a government assisted situation where like the family didn't pay. It was the government that was paying for them. But when they ended up leaving, the whole place was soaked with pee. They had to throw out like all the furniture. They had to clean as much as they could. So when I got there, it was a 2-level house. It was a level and then a downstairs level, like a basement. I had to clean 2 couches. I had to clean 2 mattresses. I had to clean dining chairs. I had to clean an area rug, and I had to clean stairs and a big living room downstairs and like 3 or 4 bedrooms. And I did that job all by myself. It took me all day. And I just remember thinking when I was working at that job that I did not want to be there.
Well, especially since you said you were cleaning a mattress. I know a little bit about mattresses, and pretty much you're not supposed to clean them at that point. If it's got enough urine going in there, it's pretty deep inside, and it's encapsulated, should I say.
Yeah. But that was probably one of the ones in my memory that I just remember. I was thinking, I cannot wait to get home because I don't want to be here right now. So yeah.
And what was the most rewarding job you've been to where just like you were like on cloud 9 and the customer was just doing cartwheels and you really felt good about what you're doing and the value that you were able to give? So
normally it seems like I get those feelings when it's an emergency situation.
Okay. Is there one emergency situation that stands out as the apex? Or just an example of one.
So the handful of emergency jobs that I've done, whether it be flood extraction, mostly poo or pee or vomit, I remember this one, and it wasn't like that much money, but I got a call, and I think it was referred to me from another carpet cleaner who couldn't do it. I don't remember exactly who, but it was a sweet old lady Nampa, which is about a 20-minute drive, and it was maybe like 3 or 4 p.m. at the time. And she said her husband, you know, an older man, you know, he basically like pooped on the carpet going to the bathroom, and it was like a long trail in the room of like diarrhea. And she was like, can you please like help me, like, you know, I need this done as soon as possible. And she's so I told her over the phone without seeing the job, I said my minimum is $150 to go out and do this job. But it took me, you know, it was one room and a streak, but the OS1 product really breaks down like poo and pee really good. So when I get there, I walked through with the customer, and she was a sweet old lady. She showed me, and the husband was a little embarrassed. He didn't really want to talk. So I put pure OS1, sprayed it, scrubbed it with a carpet rake, and then extracted it. And I probably was there for like 45 minutes, and it came out beautifully. And she was just so thankful and so happy that I came out so quickly, and I actually did a great job. That it's kind of like the accident never happened, you know. And she paid me $150. I was happy, she was happy. But I just remember it's those situations where people are desperate, you know. People they need someone to help them, and I feel very rewarding when I'm that person who can actually help them, you know.
Okay.
So I would say that's like the cloud 9. But so my dad's been here for a month. Like he said, he's been spending a lot of time with the family. He's been working a lot with me. I think you worked over 140 hours.
146 hours.
146 hours within 4 weeks' time.
Yeah. Maybe 6 weeks at the most. And you know,
no, not 6 weeks.
Came around the 24th.
No, he came around 28th.
Oh.
28th to February 28th.
Okay.
To April 1st. So what's that? 32 days? 33 days?
Around there. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, I can say, and maybe you can say too, like I can tell my dad to go in this van, and he can do a normal job by himself, right?
Yep. I think part of the experience I have is with the proper equipment and the proper training, it can be done.
Yep.
And Eddie provides that. He if somebody's interested in the Boise area of starting their own business or looking to get some training, contact Eddie, and he will spend time with you over the phone. He'll meet with you in person and help you along on your path. That's just who he is. So
yeah. But like I said, the main goal for my dad isn't to be a cleaner. One of the strategies that he implemented with me while he was up here was getting me on Nextdoor.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to talk a little bit about what our strategies are as far as not only Nextdoor maybe, but other things that we, you know, can potentially tap into?
Yeah, both Eddie and I have experienced paid advertising on social media, and for better or for worse, you know, some people they swear